Just straight. There we go. See your name right?
Yeah. Oh, bro, that's my background, man. Is that a clean background? Man?
No, it's not.
We should have did that background. We gotta flip this thing.
Hey, flip it.
So I gotta sit right. Oh,
hey, this sit on this side.
Yeah, like a battery, got refrigerators, like coffee, a little.
Sorry, y'all. We gotta flip it around a little bit. That's why I had it this way for a reason.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can kick it. Nah.
What?
It's right here. Nah.
You can get it.
There you go. All right, cool. Why is it sort of? Oh, here you go. What the heck? Are you serious?
What? What's wrong?
My account not on here?
What's wrong?
No, it says Southern on here. I don't got sold out serving. Oh wait, is this sold out serving? No, it's in.
What's wrong?
I'm trying to go to sold out serving.
You not on?
No.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm logging for some reason under search or earn.
Oh.
Okay. Whatever, I'm gonna log with my phone. I got 11. I'll check.
Your mic on?
There
you go.
As you guys know, today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I believe it's a day of reflection. I believe it's a day of unity. It's a day to come together and really talk about just the legacies that are made, and not just from one individual, but from multiple communities, guys. So today I get the honor and privilege to share this live with a few people that have a huge impact on me and are having a huge impact on their communities as well. So I'm going to go ahead, guys, and I see a couple of them.
Let's go,
We're going to go ahead and get this thing kicked off. Here, everyone is here, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and see, how do I do this, y'all? Let's see. Hey, there he is. Let me see. Cool. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Hello.
Man.
What's going on?
I'm excited, man. So I guess what I'll do real quick, just so you guys have an idea, I'll get a chance to introduce everybody and how I know them, guys. If you don't know me, my name is Greg Brown, from the DMV area. Just got a chance over the last few years to meet some incredible individuals in their respective spaces, guys. And so I guess I don't want to tell too much about y'all stories. I'll just let y'all share your stories, and we'll kind of jump into it. I know we have Chris Hart is here, guys. Somebody that I've learned so much from. Just what it means to be a man in business, what it means to be a father, impact the community. We have Mr. Justin Shaw here, one of the flyest guys, if not the flyest guy on the East Coast, right? What he's doing, not just in his community, but the people around him. And then if I told you guys the story of how I met Miss Tiffany, like, man,
there we go.
You just see alignment and people that are on the same path and journey and the impact that we're having. So I'll go ahead and maybe we'll start ladies first. Miss Tiffany, if you don't mind, like, just kind of sharing your story. We had an incredible conversation, but your background, where you're from, and just give everybody a little bit of insight into who Miss Tiffany is.
Yeah, okay, ladies first.
Check this out, bro.
I should have been prepared.
Two people watching.
Greg, I'm super excited about being on the platform. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So my name is Cynthia. I am a minister and brand coach. I've been serving women in ministry for 20 years this year, which is crazy. I am a digital marketing specialist, so I've been serving women pastors, women leaders who are looking to build purpose-driven spaces, faith-driven brands. And so I help them do that, but also I help women grow stronger in their faith. And I found that the two often go together. And so I started out really just as a marketing consultant, just looking to help people grow their business. And I started noticing that like confidence and fear and all that stuff was getting in the way. And so I kind of had to pick up my minister hat and say, let's address both things at the same time. Let me give you some social media strategies, but I'm also going to help you overcome that fear so you actually implement what I'm telling you to do. So I've been doing that for 17 years. I'm a best-selling author. I'm mompreneur of an almost 13-year-old. And yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
I love it. I love it. We appreciate you being on the live today, guys. But she says, like, the conversation I heard, she had a group of women around her, and she is just speaking, man, and the impact she's having on those individuals. I love it. We'll go ahead and transition over. I want my guy, man. I didn't know if he was gonna have one of his suits on or what, right? But I want, if you can, man, Mr. Justin Shaw. Again, man, just your background, what it is that you're doing, man, and what you're excited about.
Yeah, man. First off, I want to give it back to Greg. Man, this guy, anybody that meets him, you can just feel his essence and auras about serving others. Like 100%. Every time I'm around him, all he has is a call to serve for anybody that needs any assistance in any realm of life, whether it's in his faith, whether it's in business, whether it's financial literacy. This man gives back unconditionally. And we all know it's going to go back on tenfold. So I want to thank you for doing this live, because not just what's currently going on, but the seeds that you're implanting on all the viewers that are going to be watching this too. But, yeah, guys, my name is Justin Shaw. I'm the owner and operator of Shaw's Covenant Custom Clothier, where we close the purpose-driven gentlemen to ensure that a polished, presentable, and produce results at the front of the image. That's really just saying I make custom suits, right? I also recently launched an operational management consulting firm. The way I got into both of these spaces, I was in network marketing originally. I dropped out of school, realized I wanted to do something else outside of network marketing since it built such a great foundation for me. And I ended up talking to my wife, which was my best friend. She asked me, what do you like to do? I was like, I like wearing suits. And she was like, well, you need to sell suits. So I was like, all right, I don't know how to cut, sew, none of that stuff, but I'm going to figure it out. And so just kind of fast forward and I get a whole, biography that's 60 years long. I figured it out. I launched September 2017 with no experience in the industry. In 6 weeks, I was able to make over 5 figures in business, quit my job, go full time. And it's all just through the grace of God. And then I ended up finding a passion inside of the passion because of the natural talent of knowing how to dress. I also learned about business a whole lot more to a different level, and realizing that a lot of entrepreneurs are technician entrepreneurs. Technician entrepreneurs being people that only like to produce the service or the good that they want to give to the world, but they don't understand the background of it, whether the operations, the governance, the HR, the hiring, recruiting, the finance, like all those different things. And I want to be the plug and play person to help them actualize their dreams as first generation entrepreneurs. So yeah, I'm excited about where we are now, but I'm more excited about where we're going.
Absolutely. I love it, man. Hey, if you guys didn't catch the nugget, if you're in business, you may get what he said. If you're not, you may not. He talked about the technician, the operation. That's a big nugget that he just dropped, guys. And so someone that I actually got to learn that from is the next individual. This guy, I'm gonna let him tell his story, man, but somebody that I learned so much from and is making a huge impact here in the DMV area. I'll go ahead and pass it over to Mr. Chris Hart.
Absolutely, Greg. I appreciate it, man. And like Shaw said, Greg, I appreciate you getting us all together, man. And everything you said about you is true. Like, even when you come across, man, you have a servant's heart, man, to help us serve people. So I appreciate you getting us all together on this platform to share our stories and have a great discussion. My name is Chris Hart. I know it says Sold Out Servant here. Originally from California, moved to the East Coast recently about 3 years ago, right before COVID. My background, I have a background in tech sales, worked at Apple for about 5 years doing B2B sales. Then from there, transitioned into entrepreneurship. Similar to Shaw, I went to school, man. It wasn't for me. Dropped out of college, man. I'm a college dropout. But I was able to find my way working at Apple and being in business here for myself. I run an insurance agency. And so what brought me to the East Coast was expanding my business in the Maryland market. And so I have offices from California to Ohio, Arizona, we're in New York, we're in the Carolinas. And overall, what we do is we just help teach people about money and finances. Everyone on this call here, no one on this call here actually resembles a typical agent in our industry. And so there's a huge lack of diversification when it comes to financial education and financial literacy. And so we're working with a market of people who look, talk, and act like us. It's just teaching them how money works. And what's cool about it is that it's a very rewarding industry that pays pretty well. And so we're able to help serve people and get paid in the process, which is a spinoff of my YouTube channel. Also, I make content pretty often here. And our channel is called Serve to Earn, because our true passion is helping teach others how to use their God, giving gifts, and ability to serve people. And I believe those who serve in the right capacity, you'll make money. God will bless you and take care of your finances. But just go out there and genuinely serve people and give your gift away. And so I'm excited about tonight, man, the panel here, and just kind of talking and having a good discussion about Dr. MLK Day, and just overall, just who we are as a people.
Absolutely. I love it, man. It's I don't know if you guys can feel it. I can feel it, the energy on this call, man. The vibration that this call is on. So I'm excited. Appreciate you guys being here, being available. You guys are busy. You got life. You got kids. You got spouses, all that different stuff. But to make some time is huge. And so I'm gonna kind of jump in. Chris kind of segued into it, which I think is good, because he talked about diversity, and then he also talked about MLK Day and what that means, the importance of it. And so I want to kind of get a perspective from everybody here. When you think MLK, when you think Martin Luther King, you think about the legacy that he left and all that good stuff. I guess I'll kind of kick it back to Chris and we can go from there. And just an open dialogue. Guys, if you're on this chat, first and foremost, go give Classic Man Shaw, go give Tiffany, go give Sold Out Service, go give them a follow, guys. And comment below. Let's make this interactive. And so, yeah, I'm going to ask you guys, we'll start with Chris. When you hear Martin Luther King, you hear the legacy, what kind of comes to mind for you?
It's even today, man. I actually this morning I woke up and I was just watching archive videos of his speeches, kind of getting back into the spirit of what's happening today. And I think one of the biggest legacies he's left behind, obviously the Civil Rights Movement and the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Bill that he helped pass through Congress through his speeches and his activism. But overall, it's really his non-violence approach to anything. If you watch his documentaries and you watch what he did, obviously we weren't there. No one here is over age 30 or 40 or whatever, right? So we weren't there. We weren't there. We saw documentaries as kids growing up in high school and in middle school and elementary school. And when you see, it takes true strength to have a non-violent approach to anything. And his approach was to use love over hate. And I was reading a quote from him that he doesn't judge the people. You think about racism in America in the 60s and 50s and before all the time. It's still a lot today, still here in America, in our country. And to him to say, hey, that person's racist, I don't blame him. I blame the racism. And so the guy who's beating me, the guy who's attacking me, the guy they're hosing us down, sticking dogs on us, they're burning our churches down. It's the hate comes from not from him, but from what's happening in generational curses. And so to see a guy who would get beat and get things thrown at him and say, man, I'm not going to act in violence, and to really take on an approach that most of them, I tell myself today, in today's society, if things happen to me, if we get upset, angry, or what just happened in our life, whether it's whatever it may be, how do you act in a way that Martin Luther King acted and say, hey man, I want to use a non-violent approach to this here and really exercise strength and self-control? Because at the end of the day, that's what wins the hearts of people. The fact that, hey, I'm a racist, I'm beating you, I'm doing anything to you, you're not hitting me back. You want to love me? Whoa, wait up, time out, wait up. Maybe I should rethink this thing about racism. This guy is loving me undying as I'm doing things. And I think so that was the biggest approach. And obviously his ability to use his words in speech to move the country. And of course the boycotting. And so I think we learned so much from him from Black Lives Matters now. You see decades later using some of his approaches to create change in our country.
That's huge. I mean, we talk about forgiveness, right? Forgiveness is the strongest human emotion, and it's something that is so tough. Okay, what about Justin Tiff? Any experiences with that? Maybe wrestling with?
Well, it's so funny and timely, and it's I don't want to call it minuscule, but it was something that happened this weekend that reminded me of something very similar to what Chris was saying, right? Because of having that certain level of emotional intelligence to, be unbiased and also be forgiving, right? I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm very, very faith-based. I'm very, very faith-based. So by default, it's gonna slip out, right? My whole business was founded on all these different things and letting God kind of walk me through this whole process, because everything that I do is just a contract with him that I said I'm just gonna be willing to walk wherever you want me to go. But it was Saturday, and I promise I will link this back to him. Okay. Saturday, I was at the movies with my wife, and these kids was in our seat, and they was a little rowdy. They were okay, from Baltimore. They were yo, what's really good? These are my seats. I'm looking my man, look right here. It says number 2. And then they were getting real pissed off or whatever, but they decided to get up and walk. And then me and my wife in our minds was just we was ready to mess up these little kids. We was really ready because we don't got time for this and pay for these seats. And then that same day, I was reading something in Matthew when show love in all circumstances. And the reason why I'm like, man, that's powerful that you had to be able to do that. How we were just saying MLK and all the civil rights movement, they were getting hosed, they were getting beaten, they were getting all this stuff. I was about to beat these kids because of some seats, just for the movies, right? And just knowing the fact that they were able to go through this process, not for just a day, not for a week, not for a month, but consistently go through the trials and tribulations of fighting for something they weren't even expecting to see, just tells you the testament of how powerful his vision was. And that language is so powerful, and how he was able to articulate himself to touch the hearts of other people. And so there were just so many different avenues on learning how to speak in different environments and connect with different people, and having the art of being able to cast a vision, a dream, and also to tell a story so people can have that emotional connection to see a future they may not see. So that's what I really got from MLK Day, his power to articulate his thoughts, his feelings, and also have a heart for understanding and having good judgment. So yeah,
That's huge. That's huge, man. It's funny because you said something. The second you said it, I'm like, that's perfect, because you're talking about communication, right? And who best, right, to talk about communication than this Tiffany? I mean, for you, right? Come on, right? So for you, just the way you talk about articulation, how, what do they say, when you speak and someone doesn't understand, that's not communication, right? Being able to relate to the hearts of others. So Tiffany, what's your take on that?
It's so funny because as I was listening to Chris and Justin talk, it seems like one word was really just jumping out at me, and it was love. And I think about it, like there's a couple of different, here we go, like you said, just not to call it scripture, but I'm just thinking about, things that there's scriptures that talk about, like, he that winneth souls are wise. There's scriptures that talk about, sweet words will turn away wrath. And I think the reason that his message was so powerful because it's coming from a place of love, and I think that how would it have been perceived if it was coming from a place of hate versus saying, I don't hate you, I love us, I love me, I love my people, I want to see us excel. And I think that, to be honest, like, that is a testament to how we, especially as Black entrepreneurs, have to operate today. It's like, listen, I'm not anti anyone, I will love, support, network, collaborate with everyone, but I unapologetically want to see my people win. And from a place of love, I'm able to serve and show up in a greater way. When I'm looking at, the statistics about Black wealth and even Black entrepreneurship, I'm like, listen, we got to make some changes. And it's not an anti-anyone message. It really is a self-love. Like, hey, we can't pass this down to our children, but I think it comes across differently when it is rooted in love. Even, to be honest, I have, part of my brand is my faith-based brand is specifically for Black women. But I have white women and all of these different people who still connect to it because they understand that, like, I love you. You're welcome here. I'm just unapologetically about my people as well. And I think the loving message welcomes people in regardless. So I think that's what jumped out when you guys were talking, was like, love is really a powerful force. I think we have to remember that.
That's huge. That's huge. You just said something, and I think Chris could touch on this. You talked about Black wealth and understanding that one truth does not mean the other falsehood, right? Like, there's multiple truths that can stand. And Chris, touch on, like, when it comes to wealth, right, in the Black community, what you've seen, your background coming from, California, I just say California, right, and then to what you've built now. What's been your perspective on that?
I think what you said, Tiffany, was so true. Sometimes when we're pro-Black, it comes off as like, okay, I'm against everybody else. Like, no, I'm acting as if the way you act in the Asian community, in the Jewish community. Like, I in the Jewish community, you do business with people you know and hang out with and associate with, and it's normal. I was in Brooklyn last month. I was driving through Brooklyn with one of my good friends. He's from Brooklyn, born and raised. We're driving through a Jewish community. And I was like, man, I think they're called aesthetic Jews or aesthetic Jews. Like, they have the little hair and all that, some of their hats. Like, they're like straight Jewish community, right? We're driving through and I'm like, okay, cool, it's great. I'm seeing, I'm like, oh, this is a great community. He said, they have their own police department. I said, really? They have their own fire department. Like, really? They have their own hospital. So their own hospital, yeah, it's all Jewish, owned, Jewish operated. So the way it works here is that if you want to sell one of these flats in Brooklyn, in this community, they only sell to Jewish families. And it's like you see it there, and like you see the community there, you see them flourishing and doing well, and it's like they don't. Is that racist? Are they bad people for thinking that? Not at all. It's okay. So when I say I'm pro-black for business, I want to see black people win and do well for myself. And why are we so against that at certain times? And so I told someone the other day, I said, I'm a businessman. Like you just say, you have white clients, Hispanic, doesn't matter. I like money. Money is green. Money is green. I'll take green for anybody, from yellow, white, red, blue, don't matter. I take green. But now when the green comes into my pockets, it happens to be coming into the black community because I'm black. And I want to circulate into the black community as often, as long as possible. And I think that and the way we bridge the wealth gap is by understanding that and realizing that, hey, as African Americans, we have to uplift each other and encourage each other when it comes to business. And I think it's so often we don't do that, and we think it's a bad thing to say I'm buying black only. And so for me, I will say on this law right now, man, if I can buy someone, I can buy from a black individual, I'm all for it. You're black too? Oh, game, let's go. Because I want to keep my dollars in my black community, but at the end of the day, I'll take money from anywhere, 100%. Like, if money's money. I'm not just doing business with black people, but at the end of the day, I think we need to be conscious of keeping wealth in our community to uplift our community, because if we don't take care of ourselves, who's taking care of us? We gotta have our own back. So when I saw that community, I thought, man, your own hospital, police department, like that's legit. Why can't we have that for ourselves?
That's huge. You know, it's crazy, and I think what you just talked about, that's the message that Martin Luther King brought to the table. It was a message of unity. It was a message of love, of humanity, right? The idea that, yes, I love humans, I love people, and I love myself, and that's okay, right? And I think that's one thing in our community that we have to really hone in on. And Chris kind of touched on it with identity. I want to talk to Justin about that, because when it comes to that love of self, that self-care, that identity, that understanding that, hey, you know what? I do care about the way I carry myself. I do care about the way that I look. I do care about how I present myself and how important that is, you know, to those around me. Can you touch on that, Justin, just about the identity and who you are and why that's been so important to you in your business?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a very, very, very layered question about understanding your identity, right? Because it's a forever learning process. We get lost in our identity all the time. Like, once we feel like we've arrived to this is who I am, you get shifted into a new space, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's consistently finding yourself and remolding yourself, because, you know, life is a journey. It's not a destination. And so if we already feel like we met that destination, that means we stop growing and we stop evolving. And so it's really important because, you know, for me, when I first started, if I'm just speaking from like my personal experience, I didn't value my identity when I was younger, right? I'm 28 years old, I'm still technically young. Hopefully, I'm almost in 30. but younger, I was always that quiet guy in the back, and I really didn't see value in my voice, right? And so I will always be a little bit reserved because I wasn't confident in my identity or who I was and who I was created to be. And so as time evolved, I found what's dangerous is putting your identity into what you do, right? Because once you put it in what you do and that thing is gone, who am I again, right? And so what I did originally when I started to construct my own identity, I started feeling power in my image, right? Now, I didn't use it as a frame saying I am Suits. I say it is an add-on to who I am. It's a compliment. It illuminates who I am, right? Being the light of the world. When I walk into a room, heads are going to shift, right? And so that's what I ended up using as a form of, here, I'm present, and now I get to speak and have a conversation with you so you can understand who I am and my character, my mold, and my purpose, my destiny, all that stuff. And so as time went on, and everybody experiences when COVID hit, everything shut down. Everything shut down. None of us could do what we are vocationally trained to do, right? And now we're all soul searching, or we're going to old addictions, or we're going to old habits, and all these different things, and it started to disrupt these things, which again taught a lot of us that our identity isn't valued in what we do, but who we are. And so we all had to be able to figure out and feel comfortable saying, look, I am not dictated by the circumstances in front of me. I'm also not defined by what I do, but what I lead to the world, right? And what I love about MLK is, you know, the first thing that we think about when we think about MLK is hope, love, vision, right? These aren't things that he does. It was a person he was, right? Because he was a preacher. He was a pastor, right? But that's not the first thing that you naturally think. You think of emotional soft skills that says, this is who this person was. Like, when you are gone, what are people going to say about you at your funeral, right? And so having the identity of understanding who you are, what value do you leave to the world, and people having a genuine connection to who you were, not just what you did, is really what kind of set the mold for me to know that I'm more than just what my vocation is. I'm more so destined and all these other different things. So that's kind of been my framework on placing it who we are.
Absolutely. I love it. You talked about, you know, how you're going to be remembered, right? And the legacy that you'll leave. What would you guys say? Anybody can, you know, take this, like, when you think of success, right? Like, when you think of legacy, like, what comes to mind? What does success mean to you guys?
You know, I want to say, I think of one word, and I think it's impact. Like, Justin, like, I was trying so hard to not jump off my seat when we were just talking about, like, because I'll be honest, like, that was a challenge for me, you know, young, was I was used to performative identity. And especially, I hate to say it, but in church culture, which I brought into business, which was very much about what I could do. And then once I really began to peel that back and get more into what I call being versus doing, I started to notice that impact, because especially once you've been in business for a while, or once you've been leading for a while, you know, you'll evolve. You may be doing this, 10 years later you're doing something else, 10 years later you're doing something else. But what I noticed that it really stems from one calling, one passion, one gifting that you have that shows up in a lot of different ways. Like, I know for me as a coach, number one, I coach when I get paid, and I coach when I don't get paid. I'll be at the family function over a chicken wing. And I have an idea.
That's how you do it.
Tell me about that, you know, and I just go, I just kick in here, and I realize it's not about what I do. Like, it's not about, like, a profession. Like, that's who I am. We can be in the pool. If you tell me you have an idea, I am instantly going to start flushing it out. I'm going to give you some action items. I'm going to give you some phases and some due dates, because that's just who I am. Like, the ability to pull out your potential and help you really maximize it. That's who I am. And so it just happened to be convenient that I was able to wrap that into a career. But even, you know, in ministry, in our church, we have a teaching program for people who are on the worship ministry. Somehow I ended up there. Why? Because it's about impact. It's not about title and training. It's about, like, people are going to be able to say, Tiffany was the person that, God forbid you tell her something, she's going to push you. She's going to make sure you accomplish it. Like, to me, that's about impact. And so I think it's more so, it's kind of twofold though, because it's like, number one, you got to kind of understand who you are. You have to really dig deep to understand, where are you proficient? What is your gifting? And then, because honestly, like Bishop Jakes always says, your genius is in your normal. And it's so true. Like, I only know I'm a coach because I ended up doing it and did it well and went, oh, you know what? I guess that's the thing. But I was doing it before that, and so more than likely you're doing something that you're great at. It's causing impact whether you realize it or not. And if you can get into a space to figure out, hey, wait a minute, I'm really, really good at this, then I believe God will show you a way to literally expand that and turn that into something to multiply that, you know, in a greater way. But I think it's about impact. That's what I would say.
That's huge. That's huge. You talked about like leadership from the front, all that stuff. Like, I think, you know, we say what everything starts and falls with leadership, right? John C. Maxwell, right? And I think someone that I've seen do that, and man, I'll tell you, even coming into this year, like, Chris, for you, talk to me about that, like that shift of, you know, we see Martin Luther King, like, you were talking about it earlier, like, he's down in the trenches, like, in the march. He's not like, he's like, hey, we got this initiative, go figure it out. No, he's down there. He's got people behind him, and, you know, they're attacking and they're throwing this. Yeah. And still the poise that he holds. Chris, talk to me about that in your career, man, because I know leadership's a big part of what you're doing every day.
Absolutely. When I think about leadership, I think about discipleship, right? You're thinking about impact. If we all have our God-given gifts and abilities and our talents, and ultimately, I'm a man of God. I'm a Christian. The gospel is wellspring, right? And that's my job. My job is to spread the gospel. But my ministry, I'm not in the pulpit. I'm a leader in business. I'm a leader in what I'm doing in my community. And so everything I do, it somehow leads to, okay, cool, this is what I do. I'll honor my wife. I love God. I'm going to church. I'm tithing. This is what I'm doing. Hey, if you want the life I have, my success, you may want to try these things. I'm very indirect with it, but direct with it, right? Things like, hey, let's go to church and let's go to mimosas. Let's go have some mimosas or whatever you want to do after. Let's go to brunch. Yeah, do your brunch thing, but church first, right? Anything to entice someone to come to meet Christ, right? And so for me, when it comes to like Martin Luther King, his leadership skills, man, he led from the front. And I think anything we do, when it comes to someone to walk the walk and talk the talk, and you talk about discipleship, right? It's like, okay, cool. It's like it's not, hey, pointing to, hey, go do that, go read this. It's like, hey, walk with me. Let me walk with you. Let me show you what I'm doing. And I think people respect that in all levels of life. It's just that's leadership one-on-one. And so you see Martin Luther King, he's somebody who's like, hey, if you watch some of his documentaries, there's times when people thought like everyone in his camp was like, had his philosophy, nonviolence approach. Now he had some guys that were goons with him. He had some goons who was like, hey, we can go rally. He's like, no, brother. They beat me up, but I'm okay. I don't need your help. Like, King, we can get on right now. No, brother, I'm good. Think about that. I'm somebody in his camp. I'm ready to go. Let's go rally these dudes right now. We can make this happen. And King he's getting beat up saying, no, I'm okay. Let's not do that. The respect that he commands from that by being able to show that love and that grace in that moment for people who are following him. And I think we all have opportunities in our lives to show grace and show respect. There's been times when like people are watching you and wherever you're doing business, maybe it's your wife, your husband, your kids, and looking to see how do you respond in this moment? How do you show grace? I think Justin said it earlier. How do you show grace? How do you show love? How do you show compassion? And that's the hardest thing to do sometimes in leadership. Is when you want to act out, you want to do something a certain way, you want to come out of your skin, you're like, man, let me show love and grace. I think the biggest thing that I've done in business in general is show love and grace towards people. Times when I shouldn't have. It's easy to make money sometimes. It's easy to lead in sales or new initiatives, or whatever you're doing, expanding your business, right? Casting business. That can be simple. When it comes down to, okay, cool, time to show your heart in this moment. Okay, what are you going to do? I think that's when we have the opportunity to win people. When I say win people, ultimately, we know what win people is here. It's winning souls. And so I think ultimately for us, man, King showed an example of that, man, being in the trenches and for us in our businesses and our personal lives. It's my job to be in the trenches for my wife, for my kids, for my community, for my colleagues, people who work with me, my employees. And I think the more you do so, the more you win people over, because there's a shortage of genuine leaders out there who are putting their heart before everybody and saying, hey, I'm going to wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm going to lead from the front and set an example. When you do that and people see you're real and genuine, they'll follow you to the ends of the earth.
I love that. You know, it's, man, just hearing you guys speak is crazy, because I know you guys are each parents as well, right? And Chris talked to that. I'm like little Greg, man, like hanging out with the older squad, right? Like just been learning from each of you guys. Maybe I'll go to Justin real quick. I you got a young one, man. I saw your church, man. You sitting there, man, staring. Talk to me about that, because Chris talked about leading from the front and that people are watching. That's something that I learned, even not having kids, but just knowing. Even if you don't have kids, there's kids that are around you that are watching too. Talk to me about that, Justin. What it means to be a relatively new father and leading your household.
Okay, the polished answer.
The polished answer.
I tell you, these kids.
Keep it real, brother. Keep it real.
Look, all I'm gonna say is, I applaud those leaders that lead from the front, and they're leading these huge organizations of hundreds and possibly thousands of people with all these kids. Because I'm like, dog, I lead, my organization and building this and that, and then I'm like, I'm not there yet, but I'm just like, how do y'all do it? It's crazy, because you had to learn how to nurture and care for another little human being that doesn't have the understanding. And what is actually crazy is the same level of grace that we give our children, we don't give to other people a lot of times. right?
Mm.
And so getting into a new space, and that goes back to communication. I'm gonna go there. So basically, when we talk about communication and like how it is with our children, they are new to the world. They have no idea what's going on. They're adapting to the culture our house is set, right?
Yeah.
This is how we do things, and this is how it is. And it's crazy how you look at the micro version of this, and then you look at the macro version, because this is the exact same thing that happens in the world, right? Because now I'm bringing somebody from a different culture, whether if I'm going from if you're from Baltimore, whether if I'm here in Owings Mills or if I'm in Park Heights, right? I gotta adapt to the culture, right? Or we had to learn how to communicate with one another, but that's not the question that you asked. So anyway, but anything, the child, my son Remington, right? He's taught me a certain level of patience now, because
we can
Yes.
feel you, man.
Yes.
Okay, so he's 22 months, so y'all know what I'm going through right now.
Oh, you're just getting into
Yeah, man, listen, y'all ain't tell me about that. I'll keep it simple, right? The level of how he absorbs everything you do, and he doesn't absorb what you say, he absorbs what you do.
Yep.
And so I catch him a lot of times like grabbing a phone, because me and my wife were on the phone all the time. And a lot of time we're talking about business, or sometimes I'm just goofing off on the phone and having these whole conversations. And now all I see is my son grabbing a phone and just like, da, da, da. And I'm like, where are you going? Like, what's going on? But then it gave me that sign like, dang, he really pays attention to what we do. We had to be careful about that, because he's potty training himself, because he's been studying how we use a restroom. He's, changing channels. He's sweeping the floor with us. He ain't doing the greatest job, but he's getting there. I need him to, because he keep making up the house dirty. But it just really kind of, to keep it simple, the world isn't complex, because it all kind of comes down to the exact same thing. People do what you do and not what you say. And when you're grooming your children, they go in the way that you send them to, right? And it makes me be very cautious on what I do moving forward, because I know that I can tell him to stop. But if he doesn't see me stop, he's not going to, right? So, but anyway, pray for me, y'all.
Listen, I'm gonna pray for you, because you almost at 3. That was the age that almost took me out. It was not 2, it was 3. I think.
Terrific threes.
They did not tell me about 3.
No, they did.
Tiffany, how many kids do you have, and how old are they?
Just one. He's about to be 13 on Friday.
She said, I'm one and done. She said, one and done, I'm good. Okay.
You don't remember them sleepless nights, that's all.
Oh, I do.
Hey, Justin, my youngest is 8.5 months. So I'm in it. I'm in the thick of it too, man. I know where you at. 8, 6, and 8.5 months. So we, yeah.
So it's crazy, because a couple different dynamics, right? So you have Justin having a little one, extremely young. You have Tiffany having a 13-year-old, and then Chris has 3, right? So kind of give us you guys' dynamics. Maybe starting with Tiffany having a 13-year-old. What's been your experience as a mother?
Well, look, I mean, here we go again, because we're the end. Like, my first thought in my mind, and Justin ended up going there, which was really about the fact that they do what we do and not what we say.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, first of all, I don't know about y'all, but I hear God speak so much through my child, because there will be a moment that I'll say something to him, and the Lord will be like, yeah, so, like, I remember one time, it's like to the left, but I remember one time I said to my son, he had been asking me for something, and I said, don't ask me again. And then I said to him, when I said wait, I meant wait with a good attitude, not a bad attitude. And the Holy Spirit was like, and I was like, parenting, listen, you will say some stuff to your child, and the Holy Spirit be like, you heard that, right? Okay, so now when I say that to you, I'm like, okay, God, I got you. I'm not waiting with a good attitude. This is what you're talking about. But honestly, I think about business as well. I mean, gosh, as long as I have been doing this and working with different CEOs. I can't tell you how many times I've sat down with people who wanted to create some type of culture inside of their company that was like, you're not even that type of person. You want a culture that honors employees or is creative or free thinking, but that's not really a value based on how you actually operate. And I talked about this on my podcast one time. I said the truth for me, it was parenthood, has been that I had to get honest about the type of person I wanted to raise. And then I had to look in the mirror at myself, and I had to find the gaps. And I had to say, okay, wait a minute. I want to raise somebody that's patient, but I'm not patient.
Mm.
So I'm going to have to fix that. I've got to become the example I want. But it is certainly the same for us as business leaders. We cannot run organizations that have cultures that we don't bring that. It's not going to be often. And I've seen it time and time again where a company, they'll put an initiative in place and it'll hang around for 3 months. Maybe it'll make it a good 6-month stretch, and then it dies off. And it's really because that's not who you are. If you really want to have an organization that has this culture infused in it, you're going to have to actually find the gaps and become that type of leader so that it naturally flows out of who you are. Because they're going to do what you do, not what you put in the company policy.
Wow. Powerful. That's powerful, man. It's so true. And, Justin brought it up. He goes, to those people, what do you say to those people that are leading thousands of people and juggling the families, right? Hats off to you, right? So the cool thing, man, is that even with Chris is somebody that is who he is. I'm seeing Chris running around, his kids are at the office, got 3 kids, going from there, running a business. I mean, Chris, talk about how are you juggling all these different things? Because you got a lot on your shoulder and on your plate, but doing it gracefully. Yeah,
I think kids are such a great blessing, man. And when if God's blessed you with this human being, this soul, the spirit, to say, hey, I'm going to have you nourish them for 18 years and bring up in the world, man. At the end of the day, man, I did one of my number one scriptures is in Psalms 27. Children are like arrows in the hands of a warrior. Blessed is he whose quiver is full. I look at my kids as quivers in my arrows in my quiver that God blessed them with. Now, obviously, when you show them to the world, they're going to have an impact on the world based on how we bring them up. And I think sometimes in business, we get lost in the fact that, hey, we're chasing money, dreams, goals, vision, impact. I've seen CEOs who are better CEOs than dads because they forget their home ministry, like your kids. What about your kids? And so I think that if I can build a business, you can develop people in a business, you can develop a team of staff or administrators or sales guys. Like, why can't you develop a great human being at home? And so I think being super intentional about what you're doing in business is important. And I know Justin mentioned earlier, the juggling, it's just a work-life integration. And you got to find ways to make it happen. I was telling someone recently, my daughter, I got invited out to a daddy-daughter dance in Manhattan, right? It's I'm thinking, it's in New York. I'm like, New York? Why would I go to New York for a daddy-daughter dance? I'm like, oh, wait, I have an office in New York. Like, wait, that weekend, me and my daughter can fly to New York. I can check on the office up there. That Saturday, go to a daddy-daughter dance. And like, she's flying out with daddy. She's hanging out. She's 8 years old. Just me and her. So I said, baby girl, I have a surprise for you. We're going to New York on February 18th. Just me and you. No mommy, no brother. Just you and daddy. You got to get a gown, your gala dress. Oh, really, Dad? She's so excited, right? She packs for the event. I'm like, baby girl, it's in 4 weeks, baby girl. Like, you don't need to pack now. And she's packed, like, underwear, her dress. Like, baby girl, like, you could probably wear these underwear twice and wash them before you even go there. But I saw on her face, like, the impact on her, and like, I'm doing it with work-life integration. We're going to the office. She's watched me build a business that may one day go to her, a legacy, but then also spend time with her. And so I think we forget like why we do what we do. And I think it's important as entrepreneurs to realize, why are we building a business in the first place? Yes, it may be part of our purpose or our gifting and what we're doing. At the end of the day, we want to provide for our families, a lifestyle, a platform, a legacy. But to go chase the money and chase goals and dreams and lose your family, we've seen too many examples of that happening. I was talking to someone the other day, and I think I think it was our pastor, Pastor Stephen Chandler, talked about why these billionaires are not leaving any money to their kids. And they're saying that, hey, we built this big old legacy in business. We were so great at it, but our kids are soulless and they're horrible people. So we're not passing it down to them. Maybe it's because you spent your life building a business and not a legacy, not your family. And so we can't get caught up in like chasing money and goals and dreams. And I say, hey, why are we doing it? Who are we doing it for? And so for me, I keep my kids in front of me at the end of the day, that they're the priority of what I'm doing, And obviously we have our mission, we have our gifting, we have our purpose. But we can't take care of our home ministry first, man. Like how can God trust us with somebody else?
That's huge, man. That's huge. That's something that even for myself, I pay attention to. As you guys are talking, like I'm very intentional about watching you guys as parents because I don't have any kids, right? I'm not married yet. I don't have any kids, and I've seen it with my brother and his kids, and just understanding. You guys are right. Like they pick up on everything, they see everything, and there's so many environments in the world that they're gonna go to, whether it be school, whether it be all these different places. The foundation at home has to be rock solid, so when they go out there, they have something to lean on, right? So that's huge. I'm excited about just being able to learn from you guys. As we're kind of getting to the time, I do want to ask, because you guys are talking about kids, we're talking about business, we talk about the legacy that Martin Luther King has left, right? I want to get a perspective from you guys. What legacy do you guys want to leave? Like, when it's all said and done, and you look back and, they talk about the obituary, right? All that good stuff. It's like, when it's all said and done, what legacy do you guys want to leave? How do each of you guys want to be remembered?
Steve.
Steve,
That's a deep. It's a deep one. It made me think, man.
So I mean, that's a deep question, right? I think she mentioned it earlier, right? Tiffany mentioned about metrics, performance. I'm a performance guy. I'm a competitor. I keep scoring, man. I can't help it. It's bad. I know. I'll say, hey, man, 15 baptisms, man. I indirectly impact. I keep track of baptisms, saved souls, all that kind of stuff. And I was at dinner with John C. Maxwell in April of last year, and he has this clicker at his desk. It's a clicker, and it clicks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it keeps track of how many souls saved. I was like, dang, that's legit, bro. Soul saved. He's like, it's pretty accurate, man. Like, we got it down to a system where we know when someone puts out a form, they boom, 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 ridiculous lights of Christ. Like they're tracking it. At the end of the day, like, why are we here if it's not that? Like, obviously, yes, I know money, legacy, though. Like, why am I making money? Like, what does my family really need? We only need a certain amount of resources. We're okay. Like, so to make an impact, if not to make God famous, and why to make God famous? To not redirect people back to Christ. Why be great at what we do? Why shine? To reflect the image back on Christ. Great, I always say it. My success is hard work times favor and grace in my life. It's favor and grace. Everything I've succeeded in my life is like, you can pinpoint that back to, yeah, you were working kind of hard, but this happened for you. Yeah, I couldn't control that, bro. This fell into your lap. Yeah, that was kind of favor. This happened. Yeah, that was God's grace. I messed up. I shouldn't have had that. That was grace. And so for me, legacy, obviously, to me, legacy is the true legacy is my children really become disciples and making God famous. I pray for my kids every morning, man. And one of my biggest prayers is that the leadership in the fear of God, and that God gives them a platform to make them famous. That God uses me as a pioneer to give them a platform to make them famous. That's what I'm here for my children, 100%. And when I die one day, I will hope people will say, man, that he was the savior of souls. But I didn't do it in the pulpit. That wasn't my calling. It was in business. And so I believe in kings and priests. And not to get off subject, I believe in kings and priests. I believe that everybody has an anointing in their life. And we have priests, we have kings. And I want to be a king that makes things better for priests to spread the gospel. How do I create speed for the priests, which are the common day pastors today? So how do I build networking systems? How do I be able to help people make more, produce more, to get more to expand the kingdom of God? That's what I want to do. And so for me, everything I'm doing would be rooted back to how do I make God famous, and how do I redirect lives back over to Christ?
That's good. For me, Chris, thanks for buying time for me. Because it's aims to help me remember mine specifically. And so I remember when I had dropped out of school, it was crazy. I was driving down, I went to Boise State University. I was driving down 301 down this dark road. It was thunderstorming. I had an open bottle of Hennessy in the back. I fell asleep behind the wheel. I've been going into a ditch 55 miles per hour. went through all these bushes, all this other stuff. People pulled me out, and I came out unharmed. And I had a moment where I was like, look, God doesn't want me to be this person right now. So let me go ahead and remove myself from the situation and really identify who have you called me to be. And when I came back home and I finished crying and all this other stuff, I went back to church and I had received this email from, it was like a subscribed email from Andy Andrews. And it said, you need to have a mission statement. And I was like, okay. I'm like 21 at the time. I'm like, I guess I need a mission statement because I don't know where I'm going in life anymore. So let's figure this out. And so for about 2-3 hours, I took his template and just put it all together. And when I got it, it has never left me, right? And my mission statement is to do what's right with strength and integrity to assist those who want to inspire the masses. And so my true purpose, mission, legacy is to leave this world empty because I was able to help other people get to their level of freedom, to their level of purpose, to their calling, their dreams, their ambitions, anything that they want. I want to be a purpose extractor, right? And who am I to not be obedient? Because if I'm not obedient, that is derailing somebody else's freedom. Because if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do and someone else doesn't see me doing what I'm doing, or somebody comes to me asking me for counsel or anything like that, and I'm not aligned with what I'm supposed to be doing, I can tarnish somebody else's purpose or delay, whatever God has for them. And so for me, I want people to say, when I'm gone, like, he left the world empty, giving it his all because he valued adding value to other people. Because even if I only impact one person, if that one person impacts 1 million, I did my job. And so we can't do it based off of a quantifiable number. We have to do it based off of things like that, because it's great to say, hey, listen, I've spoken in front of 30 million people. I've done this, I've done that. But if you think about it, there was probably one person in Barack Obama's life that didn't have the marketplace value that everybody thought about and all that stuff. But he put one seat into Obama, and now, boom, Obama is who he is. Yep. The same thing with MLK. The same thing with, Gandhi. All these people, they have people in their lives that put one small seed into them, and it grew just like that. That's my responsibility. And so if I don't do that, I haven't left the world empty. And so that's my job.
Love it.
That's huge. That's huge. I love it.
I feel like Justin keeps saying things are like the perfect segue, and I don't think it's on purpose. It's just, because literally where you're ending is where I would start. I think generosity is the word that comes to mind for me, that is really what I want my legacy to be. And I don't mean just generosity financially, but I mean literally like I poured myself out into every person that I encountered, that I duplicated myself, that I pushed someone else, provoked them into their purpose. But I will say, even when it comes to, financial generosity, I really do want that to be a big part of my legacy as a single mom. Part of the place that the enemy fought me was in lack and feeling like I wasn't worthy. And to be honest, even starting my business from a place of, being freshly divorced and all of the things. And so coming through that and seeing where so many women who, I'm honestly called to, are struggling because they don't believe in themselves and all of these different things. I know that sometimes being able to maybe write a check and fund somebody's business, that's going to be a way for somebody to say, wait, God saw me, and I want to be the person that God will use. A part of one of the foundations I want to create will be to help fund, single mothers' businesses and fund trips that for some of them, they could never afford to take their sons or their children to Disney, but I want to be able to pay, and I really believe that just like in my life, when I saw acts of generosity, it made me feel like, wow, God, you saw me, it helped me grow my faith. I want to be that person. I want to be the person that doesn't just pray with them, but I'm going to pray and write a check so that you know that God has really heard you. And so generosity is really, really, really what I want to be my legacy.
I love it, man. Man, I y'all have no idea, man, how grateful I am for each and every one of you guys. Again, having families, having businesses, just being so impactful in you guys' community. As we finish up real quick, it's crazy. We got 6 minutes left. Real quick, kind of, who you are, like what you do. So I know you guys talked a bit, but just kind of throw your brand out, because I want any and everyone who's on here have a need and you provide a service that can help them. Like, I want them to know exactly what you do. So if you guys don't mind, just kind of give a little bit of like what you do and how you guys help people, and we'll finish up.
I'll go first. I'm gonna point it back over to you, Greg. But here's what I'm gonna say. You can follow Instagram. That's my handle. For Instagram, Sold Out Servant. YouTube channel called Serve to Earn. If you're looking for a platform, a channel to subscribe to, where we're going to teach you about money, finances, wealth building, leadership, everything that I've gotten in my life that's important to me, I'm pouring it back out. I believe that if I can serve others, help them use their God-given gifts, the ability to serve others, we're all winning long term. You do well financially doing so. And then from a financial perspective, business-wise, I would say if someone watching this live right now, you're watching the recording this live, you're saying, man, like, who is Greg Brown, man? Who is Greg Brown Evo, man? Who's this guy who got us all together? And really, Greg, I'm putting it back on you, man. Like, how can we bless you, man? Like, what do you do? Like, if I'm someone on this live watching this recording, what's your business, man? Because I mean, we're highlighting our business here today, man. I appreciate you putting us on this platform, man. What's your service? What do you offer, man? Because Justin said you're someone who's always serving people first. And if I can learn more about what you're doing, I'm open to hearing more about it, man. So, Greg, so how can we get a hold of you? What's your product? What do you do?
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, so obviously this is my I guess channel, we would say, right? Greg Brown Evo. It's crazy as you guys are talking about what you guys want to be remembered for. The only thing I can think of is like Inky Johnson had a quote recently. He said, "Pride is when we worry about who's right, and humility is when we worry about what's right." Right. And so for me, what stands taller than me always is truth. And for me, what I'm building right now, I have a platform where not only am I teaching about money and finance, I have an agency that I'm building, guys, in the financial services industry, learning a lot from Chris, like somebody that I've learned a lot from. It's crazy because this group here, it's like so many people, whether it be learning about wealth retention strategies from Chris, learning about how to, host an extravagant event from Shaw, or just getting a chance to meet and connect with Tiffany. You guys have all been a blessing to me and just piecing together what I'm building. And so that's it, man. Building a platform. I have offices across the country here in Maryland, up and down the East Coast, New York, Connecticut. The list goes on, but that's what I'm about, man. Just teaching about money and finances, budgeting, tax retention. It's crazy. Chris said something which is huge. What I've realized, guys, is that wealth is usually lost in the third generation, right? Like, it doesn't matter how much wealth you build, it's typically lost in the third generation. And the reason being is because passing money down is one thing, but then also passing the habits, the strategies with it is what really helps the family hold it. So that's me. That's my platform. I appreciate, Chris, you kind of offering that to me. What about, as we wrap up real quick, Justin and Tiffany, and then we'll call it a day.
Yeah, so really quick, from what you just said, I was just watching a video today learning about family offices and how the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts built up stuff like that and how they were able to retain it past the third generation. So I love what you're saying. Just to quickly wrap up for myself, Justin Shaw, owner and operator of Shaw's Covenant. I make custom suits. I come to your home, your office, serve you drinks, play music. You pick out the fabric, buttons, thread, lining. I take over 3 dozen measurements, get the suit commissioned for you. You're down with the most important moments of your life. You're going to look like where you're going, not where you are. And then I have an operational management consulting firm for first-generation entrepreneurs that are truly passionate about what they do, but they don't know the understanding of how to build the business, the operational piece of it. So I help them be able to build, scale, and sell eventually in terms of an exit if that's their desire. So that's Opulence, OPULNX, Shaw's Covenant, and Classic Man Shaw.
I love it. And then Miss Tiffany, to finish us off, we said ladies first, we're going to finish with the ladies.
I love it. Well, once again, I want to thank you. I never take it for granted to have an opportunity to share someone's platform. I have been so edified through this conversation. Definitely need to connect, definitely want to collaborate. So thank you for that. Like I said, women come to me for 2 things: to build stronger faith and to build thriving brands. So if you're looking to, if you are a woman looking to build stronger faith, I'm the host of Stay Black Girl podcast, where, we are diving into how to pursue kingdom over culture. And so you can find me at Tiffany with D. You can find all the links to the podcast. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, and everywhere. And I also help women build thriving brands. So if you are someone who's looking to represent Christ in the marketplace and you want the proficiency to be excellent in how you build a brand, I do offer a brand acceleration audit, which is where I kind of literally pop up the hood of your brand and figure out what's going on and what you need to build more awareness and generate more sales. So either way, you can come find me at TinSecure.com.
I love it. Well, look, again, guys, I appreciate you just jumping on, taking the time as we finish up this MLK Day, guys. I think Justin and Chris may have said something. It was a video I wanted to share, didn't get a chance to, but I'll post it. It's Martin Luther King talking about the idea that, you know, even when you look at Lazarus and, you know, diabetes and all stuff, like, they talk about wealth wasn't the issue. Wealth wasn't, you know, what sent the rich man to hell. It was having the wealth and not giving it, right? And you guys going out there and what you're doing in your community, I appreciate what you guys are doing. Again, guys, go ahead and follow each and every person. I'm going to post this with their links. Do not be on this chat. Take all this value from them and not follow them, guys. Give them a follow. And if you're looking for suits, if you're looking for leadership purpose, if you're looking for an opportunity, even when it comes to agency building, you know, financial services, all that good stuff, guys, you guys have the plugs here. And knowledge is not the power. It's knowledge and then action behind it. With that being said, guys, we'll let you guys go. You guys have a great rest of your day. And kill this year, guys. It's up for grabs. It's just up for you to go get it. All right? You guys take care. And kill this year, guys. It's up for grabs.
Solid.
What's going on, man? Joe Smith, aka Mr. Businessman _. I'm super excited for the new year 2023. New vision.
I'm about to get out here, man. Long day, man.
Yep.
5 a.m. Back at it tomorrow, 5 a.m. Woo-wee. Long. Whoa. Was that was live on Instagram, YouTube?
Yeah.